morning, it's Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies, and this is a video I've wanted to record for a while. It's something I said in a workshop a little while ago, and somebody was feeling, I think, very desperate about a situation. And I said, desperation is not the best place to make a decision from, but neither is inspiration. That you can get all amped up about something, one way or the other, with the excitement of what could happen, and want to just take massive action and make it happen, or you can be so desperate because you're so broke or so lonely or so whatever it is, and neither of those places seem to be a source for a good decision, inspiration or desperation. So I want to lay that out as just an overture, and maybe it's true in your experience, maybe you've had a different experience. But whenever there's a big decision in your business, it's good to slow it down. It's good to really take time and just say, okay, is this going to be the best thing for me? And here's what makes this tricky, especially when you're looking for help with your business. And there's a lot of people out there and selling things like myself and saying, here's this program, here's how it can help you. And the challenge is, if you're in a place where you're desperate, you might sign up for something that's not a fit for you. You might sign up for something that you end up regretting. And I can't even tell you how many times I hear that story at my workshops. People saying, God, I'd like to spend $10,000 on a coaching program that they never really used, but felt too embarrassed to ask for a refund or weren't able to ask for a refund. But it's just because they were desperate and the pitch was really good. So if you're desperate or inspired, you're sitting there in the workshop and you're just getting a sense of what could happen in your business, and you see all these people running to the back of the room, and you're lifted up in that group inspiration, it can feel like the most natural thing to do is to throw your credit card down and put a bunch of money on it. So I say this, number one, for you. We're moving into the holiday season, and I'll put a link also to a really amazing piece that my colleague Mark Silver put together called "Don't Buy Now." But just for you, because now, and especially in the New Year's, there's a lot of sales that are coming up saying, buy now, join this coaching program and change your life. I'll have my own programs that I'm sharing too, but so that's number one for you, just to be aware. Is this an inspiration that could fade, and I regret the decision, or is this a desperation that might be better tended to in other ways? And there's a second part to this coming, but when I started doing my Meantime program, it's a 30-day cash flow program that I'm leading in January, and which you should definitely sign up for. What was happening was people were coming to me saying, desperate, saying, I'm broke, I need money right now, what are the tactics that are going to work the best? And I feel for these people, and most of my stuff is very slow marketing oriented, and so I would offer up, well, here's some tactics. But the truth was, they were so desperate, they were so overwhelmed, which is part of the desperation. That you can get to that place of desperate sometimes because you have a pattern of overcommitting. That's where they were. They were spread so thin. And so even though I gave them a tactic that could work in their situation, they weren't able to make it work because they were so fried, and or they were coming to it from so much pressure, and people could feel that, and they were being repulsed by that, even though the tactic itself was sound. Their approach to it wasn't. So I realized that the very first thing that we needed to do, this is where the Meantime program came out of, was we needed to create some space, that you need to deal with the financial desperation before anything. So the first week in the Meantime program became about cleaning your physical environment, decluttering. Just because then, part of the being in the Meantime is you feel ashamed. And that's not a good place to come from in your business. So you clean your space, you actually there's a feeling of space, which is so important. That's not inspiration or desperation, but just spaciousness. And you start to feel proud because you did something. And the second week was just about creating other kinds of space in your calendar, apologizing to people if you feel like you need to, emotional space, all sorts of, getting a job, cutting down your expenses. There's a lot of other ways you can start to create more of a feeling of spaciousness, and then from there, here's the tactics. You know, there's a lot that we go into in the program, but the spaciousness needs to come first, and so I'm saying this partly for you so that you don't get snookered into something that doesn't feel right. And again, whether it's my program or somebody else's. But the other thing is, I want to flip this whole conversation, because you're selling things too. And there are people who will be approaching you from a place of inspiration or desperation. And what does integrity look like in that moment? What does it look like to be loving and respectful when somebody's coming with the money, ready to spend it from this place of inspiration or desperation? You know, whether it's you in that place or them, there's a deep vulnerability in this moment. It's very easy to be taken advantage of or to take advantage of other people, and we've all been on both sides of that. So, to me, what integrity looks like is doing whatever we can to slow the conversation down. If they're coming to want to buy something from us and we can see that they're inspired or desperate. Partly, by the way, for your own protection, because this is a refund in the making, or grief of a client who's complaining and giving you bad word of mouth because it didn't work, because of course it couldn't work because they were so desperate and overwhelmed and they weren't going to be able to apply what you were teaching. So it's how can you slow it down? One of the ways that I encourage people to slow it down is this idea of creating an "Are you sure" page, literally a page that's inserted in between the sales page and the PayPal or however they pay. So they click the button, yes, I want to sign up. And then there's a page in the middle that basically says, hey, thanks for wanting to sign up for this program. Really flattered. And if you're like me, you probably didn't read the whole sales letter, but there's actually important stuff that could help you decide if this is a fit, and that's below, and they can read it. So in the meantime program, that's what, if you go to the sales page, there's a link to this page called the Are You Sure page. And I'll put a link to the blog post that I wrote about the kind of philosophy and strategy behind this. But yeah, so it's something that we're contending with in business all the time, inspiration and desperation. And I'm suspect of both. I invite you to be suspect of both in your own motivations and decisions, but also in the decisions of the people who might want to buy from you. So there's a lot more to say on this topic, but I'll leave it there for today. I'd love to hear any thoughts or reflections you have in the comments below.